Members of this House, the last time we sought to contain Russia because it was inherently expansionist, the United States adopted a reckless policy of global containment that devastated Korea and Vietnam in the Cold War. It is high time we learn from the mistakes of our past. What is the Enhanced Forward Presence, otherwise known as the EFP? The EFP is a collective agreement by NATO to militarize Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland in response to Russia's annexation of Crimea. Notably, there has been no referendum on the EFP in any of these states. NATO might not explicitly say, but this is objectively the most aggressive military build-up by NATO since the end of the Cold War, totaling 4,500 troops and 600 tanks. To be clear, Russia has responded antagonistically. Putin has deployed Iskander nuclear missiles along Poland and Lithuania's borders, weapons that can destroy Warsaw 20 times over. What's our stance? First, we believe that the EFP will not be an effective deterrent, but will instead antagonize Russia, backfiring upon a policy of reconciliation. Two, obviously, we still support NATO's Article 5 that mandates collective defense in response to Russia's aggression. The difference is that the Article 5 is defensive, whereas the EFP engages in offensive militarization. On team composition, we want to break down archaic Cold War paranoia. We think this is best achieved by cultivating good relations with Russia through trade agreements like the PCA, as well as through diplomatic engagement on platforms like the G20 summit. We have three arguments. One, how the EFP incites Russian aggression in Europe. Two, how it damages global security. Third, my second speaker will show you how this creates resentment against the West. First argument, that the EFP incites Russian aggression in Europe. This argument will demonstrate that the EFP antagonizes Russia, precipitating more conflict. Russia has two structural characteristics. First, Russia is understandably fearful of threats to its security, having been invaded 3 times in the last 200 years by Napoleon, the White Army, and then Hitler. If anything, the Cold War was in part caused by America's refusal to not recognize these security concerns. 2. Putin bases his legitimacy on a strongman leadership. As a former Cold War spy, he plays up the existence of an external threat and his ability to retaliate. That's why his approval rating shot up after he annexed Crimea. In light of this context, Russia will respond antagonistically and aggressively to the EFP for 2 systemic reasons. First, the EFP confirms Russia's worst fears of an impending Western invasion. For the first time in history, American troops are being permanently stationed along Russian borders. Moreover, the EFP literally places German troops and missiles in Eastern Europe. The last time this happened was during World War II, when Hitler invaded soon after. If I were Russia, I'd find the EFP very threatening. 2. The EFP challenges Putin's legitimacy, forcing him to retaliate. In realpolitik, posturing is everything. The EFP is a clear instance of saber-rattling, and public perception will likely force Putin to retaliate. In essence, the EFP feeds into Putin's strongman narrative and confirms his rhetoric about an external threat far better than any propaganda can. Russia can retaliate in a spectrum of ways. For one, Russia will further interfere in the politics of other countries. Russia has already meddled in French and American elections. It is now very likely going to back pro-Russian nationalists like the Zmana party in Poland and far-right parties like Jobbik in Hungary to further destabilize Europe. Furthermore, Russia can already step up email hackings and ransomware attacks like Petya that disrupt countries' digital infrastructure. Moreover, Russia may also engage in hybrid warfare in the Baltics, dispatching mercenary troops to stir up dissent and embroil the Baltic states in civil strife so a militarized Baltic can no longer pose a threat. Before I move on, yes.
None of these are exclusive, it's already happening before the EFP.
Yes, they may be happening, but our argument is that they'll get really much worse at the point in which you initiate the EFP. So this is not false. In fact, this is exactly what Russia did in Ukraine in 2014, where Russia was antagonistic in the vast majority of these cases. Now, here's where I directly clash with the team opposition's point of information, because they may claim Russia will be aggressive anyway. This is not true, because Russia's economy has weakened by Western sanctions. With a merely defensive Article 5, there is no security threat for Putin to justify economic hardship, no thank you, caused by a military buildup. But the EFP is offensive, which provokes Putin to retaliate. And now, he can use security through the EFP to justify short-term economic hardship. This is why Russia's annexation of Crimea was largely a response to how the West provided $3.1 billion of aid in a deal for NATO to Ukraine to join NATO. The EFP is a similarly provocative action that will incite a more dangerous reaction. Moreover, we argue that the EFP is ineffective. it assumes that there will be a conventional war. However, as explained earlier, Russia is more likely to engage in cyber and hybrid warfare. All the EAP does is increase the probability of Russian aggression while improving our ability to tackle it. In contrast, our policy of engagement is better because we can limit Russia's aggression by creating a network of interdependence in Europe. Conversely, isolating Russia only gives Putin the freedom to act with impunity. Hence, it is on the top position that we ensure peace in Europe. Our second argument that the EAP damages global security. This argument will show you that the EAP diminishes goodwill with Russia, hurting efforts to cooperate on other significant global issues. Now, this takes opposition on their highest ground. We must recognize that Russia has a large global presence. Hence, even if the EAP contains Russia in Eastern Europe, it harms global interests elsewhere. Before I move on, sure.
Still don't guarantee any way that Russia won't escalate tensions without the EFP. You still
No.
have possible material.
We suggested in 4 minutes of speech that the EFP antagonizes Russia. The reason why it can't engage in now is because there's absolutely no reason for Putin to justify the economic hardship incurred on innocent civilians today. That's why the EFP gives them a carte-blanche justification. So here are two of them. The first is the Syrian conflict. Today, we are on the verge of driving ISIS out of Syria. The next challenge is how we can curb Assad's violent tendencies. We think the only country with any influence over him is Russia, and we will need their help to pressure Assad to respect human rights. However, looking like we are about to invade our biggest strategic partner probably isn't a good idea. If it is true that Russia does lose out on the European front because of the EFP, then Putin will devote even more resources to secure Russian interests in the Middle East by propping up Assad. This, Mr. Speaker, hurts the 5 million Syrian civilians who have already had to suffer 9 years of civil war. Apart from Syria, another pivotal issue is the Arctic Circle. Russia has exhibited expansionist tendencies in the region, planting its flag on the Arctic Sea fin. This is very dangerous because the Arctic has a wealth of resources and the North Sea Passage will soon become a major shipping port. All countries must respect international law in the region. However, if Russia feels that the EFP threatens its sovereignty, in Europe, it will likely assert its sovereignty elsewhere by, for instance, deploying nuclear submarines or naval destroyers in the Arctic, at which point the Russian flag will merely be the tip of the iceberg. Madam Speaker, NATO is one thing, but foreign policy against Russia is another. It is unwise to pursue marginal advances in Europe at the cost of more significant international interests. Without the EFP, we ensure cooperation with Russia. We are more likely to see sustainable ceasefires in Syria, with Russia pressuring Assad to respect human rights, as well as stronger commitments to the laws of sea and joint development over the Arctic land space. A reckless military maneuver like the EFP simply has dire ramifications on the majority of the world. And that is why, because antagonism only begets antagonism, we stand firmly on team proposition.
The first speaker of proposition teams had 8 minutes, 2 seconds. I find the first proposition speaker for that speech. And now, to open the case for the opposition, please welcome Brandon Yu.
Today, all the terms that proposition told us in their 7-minute speech is based on one simplistic logic. Is that because Putin runs on a strongman reputation, that's why whenever he sees a threat, he's only going to respond in more aggressive ways. They seem to characterize Putin as a kindergarten kid, where if you have 2 Legos, he will want 3. If you have 3, he will want 4. We say that under the status quo, in the practical context, there is a limit to these kinds of escalations. And we argue even on our we argue one step further than our side, these tensions will be solved. So before going to my main arguments, I will have one rebuttal, and the rest of my rebuttals will be integrated in my arguments. I will thank you when I go to those rebuttals. So on my first rebuttal, They say that Russia, under the presence of EFP, will start to expand elsewhere into places like the Middle East. To that, we have two levels response. Firstly, we argue that Russia wouldn't have an incentive to do so because doing so will only cost them another EFP. Because now the United Nations or NATO would have another incentive or legitimate grounding to say, oh, these cases need EFP as well. And that will cost Russia so much more trouble as they have characterized. But secondly, we said even if we take their better case, so we say that they still couldn't prove to us why under their side that those things are less likely to happen. In our PR, we have already proven to you why these things already happen without the presence of EFP. Russia already has an acts of aggression, for example, in its military exercises with China in the Baltic Sea a while ago. We say that even without EFP, Russia still shows a huge amount of aggression towards other countries, including those in the
Information, sir.
Before I go to my arguments, yes.
The biannual Russian Zapad exercise now features nuclear weapons, which are stationed closest to the Belarus border. This was never the case before the EFP. How do you account for this change?
We would say that even though you say they have more nuclear weapons in these military operations, we say that it's still, our case is still better. Why? Because we would like to argue in our following arguments that even though it might seem to be escalating, at one point Russia will will make concessions because they see a clear harm to their side. So are we having three arguments? First, on the first one, on why is NATO principally justified and obligated to protect its member states? Secondly, why engaging with their arguments, why actually having a military stalemate or military standout increases peace? And lastly, how on our side we prevent further Russian aggression. So on the first argument, we would like to say that in the context of Russian aggression, as we've seen in basically three examples: firstly, annexation of Crimea; secondly, military exercises with China in the Baltic Sea; and thirdly, cyber intrusions throughout elections around the world. We say that given that context of growing Russian aggression, NATO needs to react with actions to counter the aggressive and to ensure the security of its member states. And even in cases where there is an actual invasion, we will argue that it is done better on our side because we have an immediate standing force to respond immediately and minimize the harms. So that's a clear opposition stance today, and we will be using our argument to prove to you two things. Firstly, that EFP is more justified, and secondly, how EFP brings benefits. So first, I'll be going to my first argument explaining why NATO is morally justified in doing so. So on this, we have three levels below it. Firstly, we argue that NATO is a military partnership. That means that they have to fulfill their military obligations in order to reinforce these kind of partnerships or even attract new members in the future. On the second level, we say that because member states, they actually pay a membership fee to NATO. So we would like to draw a parallel to taxation. Just as people pay taxes to the government in return for protection, we see that member states pay membership fees to NATO in return for protection as well. And that's why NATO has a moral obligation to protect these nations. But thirdly, we see that because these countries, including Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Estonia, they have participated in past NATO military actions, for example, the International Security Assistance Force or NATO's Resolute Support Mission. All of these actually evidence showing why NATO actually has a moral obligation to pay back. So going to my second argument, this directly clashes with their point of how, we will antagonize Russia, and then under Putin's strongman policy, it will lead to tensions like as in the Cold War. On our side, we will actually argue that this is a good thing. Why? Because we acknowledge in the short term, there might be increasing tension in these regions. We say under this article, it is simply not true that their characterization seems to be that this escalation will be endless. In this article, we already see Russia making concessions or being more cooperative with the international society when there is a clear harm towards Russia, as in the case of the Iran nuclear deal. It poses a clear harm to Russia's position in the world. That's why we cooperate with the world. And under our side, we insert these kinds of credible threat. Why? Because having a standout with Russia, yes, we agree that it will make Russia angry in the short term, but we argue that in the long term it will make concessions. Why? Because if you have a military standoff, it means more and more economic expenses. And we argue because NATO has more resources, that's why Russia could not possibly outsend NATO, and they know that. So that's why they will actually turn to other ways of resolving the issue. For example, negotiations under our state. So because we actually form a military stalemate, that's why we increase negotiations. Going to my third argument, we would like to argue that under our side, we actually prevent Russian aggression, and I will be explaining this in 2 levels. On the first level, we remove the justification for Russian invasion. In the status quo, oftentimes these countries around Russia, because their government failed to protect their own citizens, they turn to means, for example, terrorism, as shown in places like Georgia. And it's because of these reasons that Russia argued, oh, these places have terrorism, there's turmoil. That's why we should interfere and protect this regional security of these regions, and basically forming a de facto invasion. We argue that under our side, that is solved because NATO EFP provides assurance of security, and that's how we prevent terrorism from going. And that's why Russia will lose its justification for invading because of instability. But secondly, we say that because on the second level, we say that we debunk Russia's Western hegemony narrative. A proposition will come up and say, well, Russia runs on this narrative of Western invasion, how the West is gradually strengthening their safety, etc., in order to make military responses. We would like to say that is solved under our case. Why? Because these nations, including Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Estonia, although we agree that there have been no referendums, but it is still the government themselves asking the NATO for these kinds of military aid. The effect of that is it destroys Russia's narrative of Western invasion, because now people see that it is these countries that want NATO's forces in there in the first place. By endorsing the aids of NATO, these Baltic states are basically making a clear signal of no to Russia, and therefore debunking the entire narrative of Western invasion and Western hegemony. So let's make a quick comparison of cases. Under their side, they can only have reactive measures in the case of real invasion. Under our side, we have preventive measures because there is a standing army. And we do not have reversible harms that will occur under their side in case of war, including loss of civilian lives. Because we protect everyone. Stand for opposition.
The first speaker of opposition team spent 8 minutes, 9 seconds. I sign the first opposition speaker for their speech.
I think team opposition is the one that is being simplistic when they tell us that our case characterizes Putin as a kindergarten kid. Our case is about managing real politics. It is about understanding that there is a genuine need for reconciliation, not antagonism. And to be clear, all we have done to rebut our case is to throw one-line assertions that there is a limit to how bad it can get, that Russia will eventually be forced to make concessions sooner or later. Why? Absolutely no causation. Absolutely no response to the structural reasons we gave you in first. Absolutely no response to our historical analysis of how Russia operates. Absolutely no response to our contemporary examples of how Russia has reacted. So to be clear, I think the other side is the one that is being simplistic. One-line assertions do not make an argument, they have to clash with our analysis. 2 questions. 1, how does the EFP harm stability in Europe? 2nd, how does the EFP harm global stability? 1, on Europe. Let's just deal with their principle straight out. All the analysis about how you pay membership fees to NATO, about how it's like taxation, about how these countries have participated in NATO exercises in the past is completely irrelevant. Why? We can agree that NATO has a duty to protect its member states. insofar as our arguments show that this duty is worsened on their side when they increase Russian aggression, then I think the EFP is actually going against the NATO duty. So to be clear, my first speaker already proved that we win the principal clash in this debate. But let's take them on their highest. Even if Russia is inherently aggressive, things can get much worse. And this was an analysis they failed to clash with. Honestly, Putin is a Cold War spy. He is a strongman. No, these are not kindergarten kids' characterizations. These are actual facts about Putin. He is likely to react aggressively. Crucially, we give you two structural reasons of why this is the case. One, because it confirms the worst fears of Western invasion. Just like how Israel's foreign policy is very much informed by the Six-Day War, Russia's foreign policy is very much informed by World War II. The fact is that enemy forces are starting to put troops on your borders, and that is very scary. There has been no point in history where enemy battalions strategically placing themselves on the edge of the borders has not been a precursor to invasion or an indicator of heavy mistrust. Therefore, when they tell us that Putin will not respond antagonistically, they just fail to understand how Putin feels threatened. The analysis about how the Cold War is good fails to recognize how they are literally creating a new Cold War, is that now Putin feels that he is being threatened by the actual threat of Western invasion. Because to be clear, even in the Cold War, US troops were not permanently stationed along Russia's borders. This is even worse than the Cold War. Hold on a moment. The second reason is that it forces Putin to respond to maintain his legitimacy, and this was not clashed by the first speaker. But before I move on, yes.
The reason why Russia can support its agenda during the Cold War is that it has a support structure from its satellite states. That support structure is no longer present in the status quo.
Sir, we don't see how that argument actually stands. Maybe during the Cold War it had a support structure in the satellite states, but I would suggest it was still Moscow that was making the decisions on how to act, and now that Moscow feels a bit more threatened, it's going to act even more antagonistically. Furthermore, here's where I clash with their argument on how Putin will now be able to directly justify intervening in this country because of terrorism. Honestly, Putin can find any justification he wants. But the strongest justification he has, stronger than terrorism, is the idea that his security is being threatened. So if we have to weigh those two, I would suggest they feed into Putin's propaganda and rhetoric even worse. That is why when they bring up the Iran nuclear deal as a parallel, that is just grossly misrepresentative. The Iran nuclear deal is very different from literally putting enemy troops along your border. So very disanalogous. Why are other outcomes worse? We give you a spectrum of outcomes, and this gives you the idea of how it is preventive and not reactive. Because since we have proven that on our side it wasn't aggression, there is no way that this EFP responds to it. We give you a spectrum of responses, the idea of cyber warfare, the idea of hybrid warfare, political interference, which, mind you, will now get much worse because it becomes more overt, because it becomes more obvious. And when that happens, there is no way Eastern European countries can guard against that. We gave you concrete examples of the biannual Zappa exercise and the POI not responded to by their speakers. So to be clear, things are getting worse. What is the comparative on their side? On our side, we told you how without the EFP, there is no reason for Russia to react aggressively. Why? We challenge the assertion that Russia is inherently aggressive. We gave you logic about Article 5, about economic sanctions, and they concede because they themselves said that Russia cannot have the economic strength to carry out building up its military forever. So, in the absence of the EFP, there is no reason for Russia to be aggressive. But when there is an EFP, when there is an existential threat to its security, then Putin can say, look, we can justify economic hardship in order to protect Russia. Second question, therefore, on the idea of how does the EFP harm global stability? We think Russia is a large country with huge geopolitical presence. They said, but Russia will not be scared of another EFP in Siberia and Arctic. How? The difference of NATO and the influence of NATO in all these other places is much smaller. They have to respond to how on their side they create a never-ending cycle of escalation. Because when the EFP is an act of Western aggression in Europe, Russia will become more aggressive elsewhere. Then NATO will become more aggressive in these places, causing further Russian aggression. The only way to break this cycle is to not create it in the first place, and that's why they need to respond to the specific context of the Syrian conflict and the Arctic Circle, which we do not think they've responded to. My argument for today on how the EFP creates resentment against the West, and here I'm going to clash directly with their argument about how this is different because the EFP helps to reassure people in Eastern Europe. This argument will prove that the EFP reinforces the belief that the West is taking advantage of countries in Eastern Europe to further its geopolitical agenda. This strengthens anti-Western sentiments within Eastern Europe. Let me remind you, the EFP does not have democratic mandate. Not a single country in Eastern Europe held a referendum before participating. They said, but they asked for it anyway. Honestly, most people know that discussions about the EFP would have been driven by big countries like the US. The voices of Latvia or Estonia would most likely have been jumped out. It was most likely an initiative by these big countries.
This means that pro-Russian politicians in Eastern Europe can now paint the EFP as a unilateral Western policy that aims to take advantage of their countries. Eastern European states know that big countries like the US do not genuinely care about their security. Just look at Trump's constant complaints about how NATO's members are exploiting the US. If I live in Eastern Europe, I might not find it believable when pro-Russian politicians say that the EFP deliberately puts Eastern Europe at risk of invasion just so the West can compensate for the embarrassment of Crimea without putting its own security at risk. And talking of Crimea, we did deal with the example of Crimea and the China exercises preemptively in the first speaker. We told you how it was a response to NATO's attempts to get Crimea and Ukraine to join NATO. So the EFP is another type of provocation that will just result in a worse reaction. Note, we can agree with their logic that countries in Eastern Europe might be worried about Russian aggression after Russia's actions in Georgia and Crimea. That's precisely the point. To Eastern Europe, the EFP is seen as a hugely irresponsible policy that puts them in unnecessary danger by significantly increasing the chance of Russian aggression. Why is this harmful? There are sizable Russian-speaking populations in Poland and Latvia that will now start to entertain the thought of closer ties with Russia now that Russian aggression is seen as inevitable. This is not speculative, it has already happened. If you had been in Poland ahead of the NATO EFP summit in Warsaw last year, you would have seen massive street protests. People protested against NATO membership, castigating NATO for being warmongering. If you had been in Latvia, you would have seen pro-Russian media outlets like Vesti News blaming NATO for inciting Russian aggression. On opposition, they create a situation where Russia is able to increase its influence in these countries, dismantling democratic norms and harming human rights. On our side, we have detailed analysis that they need to respond to in the next speaker. We are very proud to propose because we believe that antagonism only begets antagonism.
The second speaker of proposition teams had 8 minutes 13 seconds. I thank the second proposition speaker for their speech.
Multiple responses for opposition. When I asked my POI, how would they guarantee that their policy is more effective? They responded by something along the lines of, we're going to have some hardline logic, which I never understood the response of. Never mind that, let's assume that they had a response. They talk about apocalyptic scenarios like shifting nuclear missiles to Kaliningrad. Sure, that actually proves our case. That shows Russia has played their last possible card. What worse can happen than putting a missile at Kaliningrad to escalate tensions? That shows that Russia is having an anti-threat towards these European nations because they obviously would not be in the right mind to use that nuclear missile. Nobody on both sides of this debate would want to war, would want to use a nuclear missile. Russia is just having an anti-threat so that they can continue their previous policies of escalating tensions and forcing concession. We say on our side, don't give the Ruskies what they want. We want to play the game on an even level with them. We want to escalate tensions, us too, so that we can have equal forces and force Russia into a concession. We take the upper hand. No thank you. Now, furthermore, let's respond to this new Cold War argument. Not true. Russia first has to build up its infrastructure during the first Cold War to have an arms race with the United States. Russia was a barbarian society that was devastated by Nazi German invasions. Tell me how they did that. Obviously, they capitalized on the resources of their
information.
For example, they shipped factories from occupied Manchuria and China and shipped it back to the Soviet Union so that they could have an industrial base. Exploited coal inside Poland so that they could ship it back to the Soviet Union again for this arms race. None of this exists in today's status quo. Russia is on its own. They're isolated by the international community precisely for their aggression against the Western world. That's their own problem. They're not going to have a new Cold War. They can't wage it. Second of all, Putin is not retarded. He still needs some kind of legitimacy inside Russia. So if he really doesn't care about the economy and does a North Korean style, like a scale of improving the military while not caring about the economy, he very well fears another revolution that brought down the Soviet Union because they were spending too much on the military, not caring about the economy. Have a seat. They're not going to do that. Putin needs some sort of legitimacy. He still needs to trade with other countries. He's not going to pursue the escalation to that point. That's why there's not going to be a Cold War. Finally, the point about having no consent from NATO nations. Not true either. They don't know about the historical reasons of why these countries joined NATO. Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, and Estonia all were invaded by the Soviet Union, all had their autonomy taken by them without the consent of their people after World War II. That's why they perceived Russia to be an existential threat to their country. That's why, as soon as after the Cold War, when they were given a chance to ally with the Western nations, they immediately clambered over to the NATO and the Western allies because they felt that Russia was their traditional enemy. Now we say, even if this was not the case, even if Russia was not going to invade them, we say that perception is important. The people of these countries feel that their historical tie, historical animosity against Russia. That's why, in order to give them security, a sense of security, which we think is also very important, we need to have them inside NATO. We need these EFP forces there to ensure that Russia would not conduct the same aggression that deprived them from their independence 40 years ago. This is the exclusive benefit that we have on our side. Before I go on.
You contradict yourself. If Russia is not inherently expansionist and has been weakened by sanctions, as you claim, why do we need to engage in preemptive and very aggressive militarization via the EFP?
Thank you. That leads me into my argument. The difference between preventative and reactive response. On our side, we tell you that we have a ready force. Anytime if Russia really wanted to invade, we have a ready force there that we don't have to mobilize and actually wait for logistics to come on. We say that in the case of these nations, it is actually a big matter because when these nations all have, they lose territory, they lose manpower, they have losses of civilians when your army can't even respond in time. In Operation Barbarossa, which Russia itself was not able to respond to Nazi Germany, 500,000 troops that were still mobilizing against Nazi Germany were captured by Nazi Germany. Shows you the ineffectiveness of mobilization after the war starts. We say that you need mobilization before the war starts to actually counter this threat. And in the case of these countries, they're small in size. They have little people. So we think, first of all, it is easy for them to mobilize before war. Second of all, it is necessary for them to mobilize before war. If they don't mobilize, Russia would overrun their terrain within hours, owing it to the geography of this part of Europe, which is flat plains. Russia just rolls in their tanks, rolls in their troops, and they invade in Estonia within a few hours. That's why Estonia needs the help of NATO in the form of EFP to be always ready for a Russian invasion. Moving on to my point about stalemates. Okay, so what we do on our side is that we actually prompt Russia to engage in peace talks. 3 levels of analysis. No thank you. First level, we facilitate peace through stalemates. We facilitate military standoffs in the goals of achieving peace. We already told you multiple times and with multiple analysis why Russia cannot use their economy solely on the military. We told you that the EU and NATO have superior GDP. Their military is also superior. So even if they cannot outspend Russia, it makes it so costly for Russia to invade Western Europe that Russia would not pursue that. It's just like the case between China and Taiwan. Taiwan makes their military good, so it makes it so costly for China to take down Taiwan, so that China would not pursue that policy. We do the same thing in Eastern and Western Europe, so that Russia would have no incentive to invade. But second level, we end brinksmanship. We say that Russia today already manipulates political wiggle room to ask for concessions. For example, flying over Sweden and Finland, which are neutral nations. Also, deploying nuclear submarines in the Baltic Sea, which is an obvious sign of aggression against these Baltic states. They're already vulnerable and you're deploying your nuclear-capable submarines off their shores. Now, Russia threatens to see if they can gain some political concessions or political capital from these Baltic states or Poland. We say that on our side, we eliminate this kind of wiggle room. We eliminate Russia we force them into a dichotomy of either invading these countries or doing no action. Since I already characterized to you multiple reasons why either Russia or NATO would not invade the other side irrationally, we think that we would force Russia to the negotiation table by having them not start war. So what we do on our side is that actually Russia would see the realities. If they want to play real politics, ours is real politics. We actually play the game fairly. We force Russia to have pragmatic discussions with us because they know that their military force cannot counter ours. We're not going to invade. Everyone needs to sit down for a talk to de-escalate the tensions because it is no longer sustainable for the Russian economy, and they're not actually getting concessions from these Eastern European countries either. Thirdly, we say that it is easier for the people to accept an offer when the offer is presented with a credible threat. Speak softly and carry a big stick. First of all, this credible threat is the EFP. This is an insurance against Russian invasion of these Western European countries. And the offer that we're bringing to the table today is Donald Trump. Since Donald Trump himself already has a softer stance on Russia, is willing to grant some other form of concessions that actually does not endanger the security of these Eastern European nations, we think that Russia is more inclined to take our deal on our side. When you have a threat of a military action against Russia, and Russia perceives it to be an existential threat, since they have characterized Russia's western border with Europe as their weak spot and something that they care a lot about, we hit them on the weak spot, and we force them into these concessions. That's why we say Russia will definitely negotiate under a plan. They know that they have to strike a balance between painting narratives against the West and actually participating in the progress, being more pragmatic. So on our side, we actually play the fair game of real politics. Under their side, what they do is that they don't give security to the people of Eastern Europe, and there's actually a threat of invasion there. Stand with our side. Thank you.
The second speaker of the opposition team spent 8 minutes 17 seconds. I thank the second opposition speaker for their speech. And now, to continue the case of the proposition, please welcome our Ho.
I have 3 points of contention. First, how does Russia think? Second, which side best protects Europe? And thirdly, on which side best protects the rest of the world? I'll spend less on my third point of contention because we've heard absolutely no response to all of the analysis we gave you in first and second. I think that's incredibly important because there are more countries at stake in this debate apart from Europe. We're also talking about the Middle East and the Arctic Circle, and that's an incredibly important part of this debate. But first, on how does Russia think? And this is where we actually analyze what real politics is. So the key issue under this is, why is Russia aggressive? Is it because they're reactionary, or is it because they're inherently aggressive? The only analysis we got from their side of the house is through observation. They say, but Russia has been already doing certain things, so surely they have to be inherently aggressive. Fine. Here are some unique things that Russia has only done after the EFP was introduced. They introduced nuclear weapons in the Zapad exercise after the EFP was announced. Last Sunday, Russia carried out a naval military celebration, which included fleets in the Baltic and Mediterranean Sea for the very first time. This happened only after the EFP was introduced. I think this is quite convenient timing on their side of the house. So I want to hear a response in the third speaker. Why did these things only happen after the EFP? It's not true that Russia was only inherently aggressive. But you know what? Even if Russia was somewhat inherently aggressive, we suggested that things would get a lot worse. Mind you, a lot of the illustrations we've heard before, such as email hackings, all of those things were covert. Russia still doesn't want to claim responsibility for those things. But now, Russia has every incentive to do this in broad daylight, to be overt about it, because they see this policy as a threat to their own sovereignty to begin with. The only response you get to this is, but they've already played their last card. Placing missiles is the worst thing that could happen. No, there are many worse things that could happen, like putting in more nuclear missiles or actually using the nuclear missiles to begin with. We kind of heard the idea in the second speaker about mutually assured destruction, that Russia will never use this. Maybe they won't use exact nuclear missiles, but as we've told you, they can engage in many things like cyber and hybrid warfare to a much larger scale on your side of the house, and those things don't apply to mutually assured destruction. So it's not true that Russia has played their last card. They can do even worse things on your side of the house.
But beyond the observations made about Russia, we say there are structural reasons why Putin and the entire Kremlin will respond in worse ways. And I don't think we heard any response to these structural reasons we presented since first. First, we said we confirm Russia's worst fears when we have the EFP. We are actually placing US and German troops along their border. The same countries that engaged in the Cold War against Russia. The same countries that engaged in World War II against Russia. Those things don't seem very friendly. Second, we say you challenge Putin's leadership. Putin has already called the EFP a Russophobic conspiracy. A few days ago, Putin recently removed over 700 US diplomats from Kremlin itself. Things can get a lot worse. Putin is literally saying, I do not want to engage in as much diplomatic engagement with the West. I think this is how things get worse on your side of the house. But third reason, because of international law. Within the status quo, Putin has every incentive to respect international law because international law also protects their own sovereignty. They obviously can't be invaded because if they are, they can be condemned in the United Nations. Now that Russia thinks that their sovereignty is being insulted by an entire military pact across the continent of Europe, they won't believe that international law will have their back, especially since it's controlled by countries like the US, by countries like Germany, which dominate NATO and the EFP as well. Given that Russia is less likely to respect international law, this is when aggression from Russia will be even more likely. So for these three systemic reasons, Russia will respond even more aggressively on the other side of the house. What do you hear from the second speaker? He said, but Putin doesn't want to risk a revolution. Really? His approval rating shot up after Crimea, even though sanctions were increased against it. So I don't think that people are willing to fight through economic hardship because of the need to defend their nationalistic sentiment. In fact, it's not true that sanctions really hurt Russia that much on your side of the house, insofar as they have a giant economy. They're willing to trade this away only when there's offensive military build-up against them. And mind you, the EFP has not been dormant. We've seen military exercises like Exercise Iron Wolf near Russian military bases in Kaliningrad. We've talked about how US military officers said it wasn't a drill and that they're willing to be fully lethal. These things aren't friendly to Russia and they will respond worse through real politics. Second point of contention are how we protect Europe. So there are a few weird points I want to get out of the way first. The first is that this idea about forcing Russia to negotiation. We think Russia has a natural incentive to negotiate either way. They still want power in Eastern Europe, in the Middle East, etc. But they're willing to share this power to some extent with other countries like the United States because they know they do not have the economic or military capacity to dominate the entire world. But when the US and the entire Western world says it's either you or me, this is when Russia will now refuse to enter the negotiation table on your side of the house. They say Trump is softer on Russia. Firstly, Trump is quite erratic. He was willing to introduce Tomahawk missiles against Iraq to begin with, but against Syria. But second of all, it's not just Trump, it's also Macron and Merkel, who's incredibly powerful against Russia as well. So this point is out of the way. Lastly, they had this analogy about Taiwan. It might be true that Taiwan has increased their military capacity, but how do you account for China's aggression in South China Sea? How do you account for China's anger at Japan's intention to militarize itself? So it's not true that this analogy works. The last point under this is about how satellite states are needed. We say in second speaker that Moscow has a lot of power, and we actually do have some kind of satellite states, insofar as the defense pact with Kazakhstan within the status quo. So it's not true that this isn't the case. But what's the comparative? We say Russia will respond less on our side of the house. We talk about how economic hardships, even though not perfect, can contain Russia to some extent. What Putin wants to do is to distract people from economic hardships and therefore increase military build-up. What your policy does is give him the exact policy he needs to distract people from those economic hardships to begin with. It's precisely as you say that military standards in the long term are expensive, that he will now be able to say it's worth it for military protection. This was the hardline logic. We talked about second speaker. We had absolutely no response to this. The only response we got therefore was this idea about how if we are reactive, it will be too slow. Honestly, I just do not think the combined strength of all NATO powers will be too slow. We might be slightly slower than actual troops on the ground. I think the difference is marginal on your side of the house.
Sure.
You know what's significant on your side of the house? The fact that Russia has every incentive to send in mercenary troops and ensure that the Baltic states are embroiled in civil strife on your side of the house. So you know what actually ensures prevention? Not antagonizing Russia on your side of the house. That's what we think is outside of the house that makes things better. But even if militarization, active militarization, is the best solution to stop Russia, we say in my second speaker
speaker, that you cannot have future militarization because you create anti-West sentiments against the United States. This deals with all their points about how they want NATO support, right? Because it's not clear to me that they're necessarily pro-West in many of these countries, insofar as populist countries, that is the Zela party, exist. So they actually refuse our ability to militarize these nations even more. But lastly, on the rest of the world, we have absolutely no response to this. We say it's important for us to ensure that we stop the Syrian conflict as fast as we can and ensure the Arctic Council is one with international law respected. The only response is we can have another AFP. Firstly, that's not how it works. NATO cannot have another AFP in the Arctic Council, and they can't do it in the Middle East. But second of all, the subtext of their case is that we will just fight Russia on every corner of this globe. The last time we did that was called the Cold War, where we literally fought Russia in every corner of the globe. That was a horrible idea. We almost resulted in a nuclear destruction of the world. I just do not think that solution is the best way forward. For all of these reasons, we stand on team proposition.
The third speaker of proposition team spent 8 minutes, 9 seconds. I thank the third proposition speaker for their speech. And now to continue the case for the opposition, please welcome Saul Yoshu.
Appeasement. That's a policy of the proposition here today. In any response, in whatever Western Europe does, whatever NATO does, Russia is always going to overreact. Their solution is to succumb to Russia's overreaction, to succumb to their state-sponsored media, and to not react. We see that as unjustified and actually leads to very practical harms under the side of opposition. 3 points today. First is which side deters future Russian aggression. Secondly is which actually forces Russia to the diplomacy table, forces Russia to engage with NATO. And third is that which side is more principally justified. On the first point, which is actually deters future Russian aggressions. They say that EFD confirms Russian aggression, that it confirms Russia's idea that there's a Western invasion. We already gave you several responses to this. First is the idea that these countries actually welcome NATO into these countries, that Estonia actually want them to come in, and that very historical reasons for wanting NATO to act as a counterbalance to Russia. We also told you how that these countries, that even if they did not have a direct referendum to actually vote in these NATO forces, they voted in NATO, they agreed to NATO many years ago, and they still have that same mentality today. But their idea is that Russia always overreacts, and that this actually allows Russia to have a reason for aggression. We say this is simply not true, right? Russia always will overreact. For example, when 20 unarmed Latvian forces moved up to the Russian border, Russia characterized it as a Latvian invasion. Russia characterized 20 unarmed individuals as a display of Western aggression. Russia is always going to be aggressive. Russia is always going to be ridiculous in how they respond, because Russia has a state-sponsored media that enables them to be so ridiculous about whatever they say. They can make up things, they can slightly exaggerate facts, that they can always do this. What happens under their side? They always succumb to the Russian way when they succumb to Russia, because Russia can do anything they want because of the Western fear that Russia is going to overreact. What they're doing is that they're creating a situation of appeasement. Like in Nazi Germany, they do not want to anger Germany, they do not want to anger Russia, because whatever they do, they will always do a counter-response. We do not believe that is actually a viable foreign policy, because when you always succumb to Russia, you can never have any credible power under NATO, any credible power under these Western countries. Yes? No? Okay. So on the third point, I think these invasions gives Russia justification for further attacking and further pushing up their anti-Western agenda. As already mentioned, these countries are not invasion. In the And the point brought up by previous speakers, they brought the idea of Western hegemony, about how these countries, when they actively invite these countries into their defensive area, actually show that they actually want defense against Russia. This goes against the entire narrative about how it is constantly being a Western invasion and how the Westerners are always trying to invade into these areas. When these countries actively invite these countries into their territory, they're actually going against the entire Russian narrative that they are being invaded. Then the idea of how the liberal idea of how Putin has an image to protect and how there's a real politic, how Putin needs to protect a strongman image. They say that Russia, because Putin was a KGB 20 years ago, that somehow applies to his political maneuvers into the status quo, right? This is something an untrue characterization. Putin has been president since 2001. Putin has been a politician for many, many years. We seem to find it believable that his past in the KGB was not affect his foreign policy. But furthermore, they mentioned the idea of how that there are these Baltic exercises, these nuclear maneuvers after the EFP. This is something that's not actually engaging us on the idea of nuclear, right? These actions are not sustainable. These actions are simply a short response to show the Russian people that Putin is responding. However, these do not have actual impacts. This is very important because compared to our side, these things are the last card in the resort. These exercises they do not have any practical harm. These nuclear missiles do not have any practical harm. It is an outrageous idea that Russia will somehow be actually incentivized to use nuclear missiles. That's completely ridiculous under the status quo. That is completely irrelevant. So on this point on how Russia deters future Russian aggression, we believe we have won this case. Yes. Okay, so thank you on that 2 points. So on the second one is how it was actually forced Russia to the diplomacy table. So even on the idea when there isn't any Russian aggression, how is our side better? Because they never really get a reason for why Russia would want to force the talking table in their first and second speaker. Their entire analysis about how Russia would be forced to the talking table only came out in their third speaker in their whip. And that's far too late for us to respond, but also respond, right? So they mentioned, so under our side, Russia will always utilize any wiggle room it has under the status quo to engage in aggression, right? For example, in Crimea, Russia was able to slowly move into these areas, slowly insert insurgency, and slowly insert a destabilized area, so that Russia is able to slowly move into Ukraine, slowly move to Crimea. In Georgia, for example, Russia was able to instigate this civil war, instigate this rest, and Russia was able to slowly move into these countries. Don't recognize this is a primary form in which Russia uses aggression, the primary form in which Russia actually moves in. When we have an active military forces there that prevents any potential wiggle room, it actually forces Russia to the negotiation table. They mentioned military exercises, they mentioned nuclear missiles that shows that Russia is responding to the EFP. As already mentioned, we said this is simply not true, as these things are not sustainable, these things are merely a non-credible threat. They're merely something that is used to appease our population. This is where they contradict themselves. They say that he conceded that Russia's aggression are all distractions from the economic hardships, showing that it actually is not a credible threat, that these aggressions are actually not an actual threat, and that these responses to the EFP are not an actual threat. So under our side, how is our side better? Because we resolve the issue of brinkmanship. Under their side, Russia did constantly utilize this wiggle room to try to reach political concession from NATO, to reach political concession from Western Europe. Under our side, when we remove this wiggle room, when there is no way for Russia to move slowly into these countries, when there's an active military force there that's preventing this from happening, we're able to finally end Russia from engaging in these small political maneuvers. When this happens, we're actually able to force Russia to work to the negotiating table because we are removing the right resort, removing any nuclear options, and removing the options of military exercises. Yes.
Even if Russia will always be aggressive, they'll be aggressive through things like cyber and hybrid warfare. How does the standing army, the EFP, respond to any of this?
That is not the primary form of Russian aggression. That's not the most damaging form. The most damaging thing is Russia being moved to Crimea and move into things such as taking physical territory, having physical power, right? These cyber threats, although important, are easily mitigable by further investment by US, further investment by NATO. When Russia actually moves into Crimea, moves into Georgia, these things are irreversible. Nothing can be done, and sanctions are practically useless because
Russia has such a big power and so much resources, right? The most important issue that NATO has to face is the fact that there is this physical intrusion, and because RSI puts an active military force there to prevent any future physical intrusion, actually resolve the most contentious issue under the status quo. And another point I feel, like how in the global sphere, and then we went to the Middle East, right? We said another Ukraine-style sanction could be further imposed on Russia, and that these in Syria and in these countries where there is a sanction on Syria actually deprive Russia of these natural resources that they really need, that they really require. So these can be easily responses. And even if in the face of Arctic, when you're showing the face of appeasement, when you're showing that, when you're appeasing to Russia, this is not a hard sense. It actually allows Russia to engage in the Arctic, allow Russia to engage in Syria. And it's because of all these points, and how the Arctic already proved to you how even the idea of security and the assurance of security is so intrinsic to the idea of NATO security. We are principally justified. We believe that we take this today.
Third speaker of opposition team span 8 minutes 31 seconds. I assign the third opposition speaker for their speech. We now move to the team's 4-minute concluding reply speeches. To deliver the opposition's reply speech, I call upon Dennis Raymond Lam.
Flip was actually very generous to Team Singapore. He even offered 2 chances for engagement on our actual case, on which they have failed to do so, just like the rest of their side. Now, let me go on to rebuttals in my rebuttal speech about what they have just said. First of all, they don't understand how NATO actually works. We think that the NATO survival is contingent on the security assurance that they will actually provide security in the face of invasion. When one country is invaded, everyone else would help that one country. We think this is destroyed under their side when they don't take action, rather they appease Russia, they don't help out the Baltic states. What you do in the long run is that you harm NATO's legitimacy. If you still believe that NATO should be a political force in Western Europe for decades to come, you need to support our policy because yours actually destroys NATO. Now, there's a contradiction also in GovWhip. GovWhip told you that Putin is crazy. They're going to shoot nuclear missiles someday. Then, we just said that was untrue because of mutually assured destruction, yet they still ignore that point. Secondly, he says that, but then the military is actually only a distraction for the economic woes that Russia has. So which stance are you taking? Is it actually a threat or is it not actually a threat? You need to clarify that. Now, okay, moving on to my wiggle room argument, which they have never responded to, and that's very important. It is very important because we increase the threshold of Russian aggression. So what we do is that we actually make Russia think twice before they want some political concession from these Baltic states or Poland or the rest of Western Europe. They think twice. And we say in the most likely 99% of the cases, Russia would sit down for a negotiation instead of actually going crazy and launching nuclear missiles like they have characterized. We say there's a parallel to World War II. Instead of fighting a phony war during 1939 and 1940, if Britain and France actually massed their troops along Polish-German border, then Poland would not have been invaded, and then Hitler would have thought twice before invading Poland. Same case here. If we mass troops against Russia, Putin would think twice before demanding similar concessions. Singapore also failed on this other thing. They have never understood the mentality of the nation that has lost its land. They say that their policy can still be effective because we think that the collective forces of NATO would be able to retake back these Poland and Baltic states. First of all, they are surrounded by Russia and they're surrounded by the Baltic Sea. So basically they're surrounded. When Russia already has nuclear submarines that are patrolling the Baltic Sea and can mass their troops along the eastern border, then these nations are effectively an island that is surrounded. When Russia invades their country and the army actually manages to escape these countries, we say that morale is lost. The NATO armies and these nations don't have already lost morale. It is much harder for them to take back the homeland. Furthermore, they're trying to defend Russia taking over someone's territory again, just like how they have taken over Ukraine. Because again, they're not taking action to stop this Russian aggression against these nations. Now, finally, The best case scenario that they have on their side is that the NATO nations are caught unprepared during the mobilization and that the Baltic states are taken over. Still, they lose morale and you don't protect the security of the citizens. But fundamentally, you fail the basic NATO obligation of protecting your member states when they are attacked. These countries, first of all, they join NATO because they think it is an insurance against Russian aggression. And now yet you concede this benefit of NATO to Russia. Who else in the future would want to join NATO on your side? Now let me move on to their final point, which was on other forms of aggression and Syria. First of all, Syria and the Arctic Ocean, we see that first of all it's already illegal to do so. If Russia actually pursues something aggressive in Syria, there's going to be even more economic sanctions on Russia to force them to the negotiation table. And there will be something like another EFP that stops Russian presence there too. So we say that Putin would not do that. Second of all, cyber attacks and invading Georgia. These things already happened before the EFP. When they're still trying to defend Russia by saying that, oh, it might be aggressive, but actually not aggressive militarily, we say this is actually false. They actually have invaded Georgia, destroyed the United States elections in hopes that they weaken their biggest enemy. And that's why, on our side, we actually promote world peace. Stand with us. Thank you.
The reply speakers back 4 minutes 50 seconds. And now to conclude the case for the proposition and the debate as a whole, I call upon Ryan Lee.
If you think about it, Team Opposition's case is based on two fundamental premises that are inherently contradictory. So the other speaker makes a big deal out of how Russia's response to the EFP won't be a credible threat. Russia will be aggressive because there are external circumstances constraining it. The entire case, however, is based on the assumption that Russia is very dangerous because it is inherently expansionist and therefore we need the EFP as a preemptive policy. A huge contradiction that we POI'd them about, never heard a response. So, when they said that we had a contradiction, they were failing to deal with the nuance of our case. Don't let them put words in our mouth. We said very clearly, without the EFP, Putin is constrained by economic hardship. He cannot justify military build-up because of these external circumstances. With the EFP, he now has the perfect existential threat he needs to justify all the economic hardship caused by increased military build-up. That was the nuance, completely dropped, completely misrepresented, completely disingenuous debating from Team Opposition. Let us look at the world the EFP creates and the world the opposition stands for. By third and reply, they are just retreated to this one word of appeasement. Number one, the situation is very different because Hitler engaged in conventional warfare, but Putin is going to engage in hybrid and cyber warfare, a characterization we gave you from first. But the key assumption here is that they are succumbing to pressure that would always have existed. Complete refusal to clash with how this Russian pressure is only created by the EFP, of how all of this aggression would not have existed otherwise. They just rely on a few examples, but they fail to deal with our structural reasons on why they give the perfect excuse for Putin to respond, on how they create a threat of existential Western invasion, on how they force Putin to respond to justify his legitimacy. So when they say we failed to engage, I think it's their side that did not engage with our structural reasons. But even as examples, we won. We gave you the example of the biannual Zappa exercise. We gave you the example of how Crimea was caused by a response, which happened to be dropped once we responded because they realized they could not actually defend this example. We gave you the example of nuclear missiles placed along the borders. And to be clear, my third speaker did not say that Russia is going to destroy the entire world with these nuclear missiles. He just pointed out a very reasonable fact that there are many worse things Russia can do. So, they completely failed to respond to our analysis. But more than that, they just rely on this hope of an immediate standing army. We point out right from first and second that how Russia has many other responses it can use. Cyber warfare, hybrid warfare, mercenaries. So in third out, finally, we hear the first response to our entire spectrum of reactions. They give the example of Crimea. In Crimea, Russia used mercenary troops that did not identify themselves as Russian. So this proves our point that an immediate standing army is completely ineffective, not listening to the examples we gave you right from first. So to be clear, on our side, we win. That's why we very much prefer the world without the EFP. And to be clear, we want the principal cash, because when we push back very strongly on this principal cash in my speech, they just backpedal and it only appeared back in reply when they finally said, oh, but we win the principal cash. Not responding to our analysis of how we best fulfill the duty of care to these individuals in NATO. No response, and therefore we win this fact. More than that, they failed to respond to our analysis on NATO and how Article 5 is a legitimate defensive commitment. We told you in third speaker, that is Merkel, that is Macron. That means that even if Trump is uncertain, there are many other things that mean that we have a credible threat. To be clear, we dealt with that example of wiggle room and thinking twice. Mine does